Hey everybody, how you guys doing? This is Mark. Welcome to Why I Hate the World. This is our uh, politics and art stream for June 4th, 2020. What's happening? So let's kind of jump right into everything. We're starting with a brand new piece here. I haven't actually done anything yet with it. And I did want to, before we actually got into anything crazy, I did want to kind of show you some of my work that I already have, um, just so you can kind of see the kind of artwork that I usually do before we continue on. So this is like a sketchbook that I never actually finished. I think most of this is from like around 2017, 2016. So you can kind of see the kind of stuff that I doodle, when I'm like board or whatever, usual comic booky kind of stuff, superhero things, dwarves, and fantasy kind of monsters and goblins and that kind of stuff. This is usually, the stuff that I draw when I'm, you know, bored. There was one piece in here, I got Chinese dragons and that kind of thing. Uh, Chainsaw, cyborg, mutant things, weird, goofy stuff, and, there was one in here that I did want to show off. This was from 2016. This sort of Lovecraftian kind of monster. This is something that I meant to color, and I just never got around to it. I have probably, you know, hundreds and hundreds of pieces that I like get to this stage and then never actually get to a final colored finished state. You know what I mean? So here's the latest one that I did. This is fan art of Steven Universe, so I made Rose Quartz look like a big monster because everybody hates Rose now. So anyway, just to kind of show you some of my other work that I have, and then this is a sort of sketchbook thing that I made. I made this out of like latex and like, you know, plastic teeth and stuff like that. These are like wolves' teeth, and then this is like, modeling compound. And this is just sort of like a little journal thing that I'm like slowly filling all of the pages up. I haven't really shown this to anybody, this is just sort of like something I do like, when I'm on my lunch break and I'm like bored or whatever. I noticed the stream is getting a little funky there, so I'm noticing weird artifacts in the stream. So let me know if it's like, if we're having problems, please say something like if it's like jittery or skipping or something. Shouldn't be because I'm like plugged in. But anyway, yeah, and the thing is, stuff like this, I have hundreds of pages like this. And, throughout the years. I've been doing stuff like this for years and years. I have, hundreds of pieces of different things where I would just fill the entire page up. So that's why this kind of stuff is like I can do this without even thinking, to be honest. I don't even have to look at it. I could just draw this, Drawing other things, normal, ordinary people, that is not so easy. This is actually collage right here. I cut this out and put it in there because I thought that looked cool. This is from Common Writer. Anyway, so that's, thought that would be kind of a fun thing to show you guys. Some of my work that sketches and things, right? I don't know if any of you guys have gotten around or bothered to check me out on, check out my artwork that I post on like, DeviantArt or Instagram or something, but it's really the stuff that I post is maybe 5% of my artistic output. Like most of it never gets past that sort of, sketchy ink stage. And it'll usually just stay there for years and years. Then sometimes, I'll go back through the different folders that I have because I scan all this stuff in and put it, by year. And sometimes I'll go find something from 4 or 5 years ago that looks pretty cool, and I'll color it and put it online, right? So anyway, that's I don't know. I'm thinking of actually doing some real life paintings though. I haven't painted in like literally a decade. I think the last time I painted something was 2010, like with actual oils on a brush and a canvas and stuff. And so I'm thinking of trying to get back into that because because why not? I have like all the time in the freaking world now. And we all have a lot of time now because we're living in a, you know, we're living one step away from a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Because right now, shit is really hitting the fan out there. You know what it is right now out there in the world? It's sort of like the very first Mad Max movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's just called Mad Max, and it takes place before the actual collapse of everything, right? And it's just like, Mad Max is still a cop, and he's still like, there's still cities and governments and things like that, right? And he's just like, trying to keep the peace, and there's like this gang member, and you get this feeling that out there in the world, like shit is really fucking going wrong, and things are really hitting the fan, and you know and society is starting to break down, right? And that's kind of like what's happening right now. And it's kind of funny how it didn't take very much for it to get that way. You know what I mean? It took one pandemic and, incredibly bad leadership, right? And a lot of, and also a lot of systemic problems, right, that have just been pushed off for decades, that we haven't addressed for decades. Wealth inequality, racism, you know, uh, stuff like that. And it's all kind of coming to a head right now. Environmental damage, right? Like all of that is just sort of colliding, and we're really seeing where the cracks in society are at right now. So anyway, I guess we kind of got to talk about, yeah, we got to talk about civil unrest because, that's what's going on. It's crazy, during a fucking pandemic, no less, right? Now, this isn't the first time that we would see, of course, civil unrest in the country. I mean, it happens pretty regularly if you think about it. Especially this scenario right here has happened more than once. Police brutality, ends up somebody ends up getting killed. Usually a black person gets killed, and the person that is responsible is usually white, and especially if they're a police officer, that's usually how it works out. You know, and then people, the person, like the perpetrator, the person who murders the black person usually gets off without any problem, you know, and then that results in civil unrest. It results in a riot or something, and it's kind of a pattern that we've seen, more than once in this country. I mean, going back to Rodney King, we had the Ferguson riots over Mike Brown, stuff like that, you know. And the thing is, it's like, well, this time it doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean? It feels like this is like for real. You know, this is it right now. And you go, well, why is that? Why is it different this time? Um, why has it lasted so long? Why is it different? Why are people not backing down this time, right? And you go, well, I mean, there's lots of different reasons. It could be, you know, it could be that it's just hit that boiling point, right? And that's it. But it really, we just have a lot of stuff happening all at once. That's just sort of kind of um, created this perfect storm. 40 million people who lost their jobs, right? That doesn't mean 40 million people are out of work, but a whole lot of them are. A whole lot of people are out of work, and that actually contributes more than you would think to the longevity of these protests, right? Because in the past, this kind of thing would start maybe on a Friday, and then by Monday or Tuesday, everybody's got to get back to work, and these things would sort of peter out. And that's not happening this time. And it's like, well, why? Because nobody's working. And I know that's a very cynical thing to say, but it's true, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's let's be honest. We have to be honest with ourselves when we make these assessments, right? Um, so let's see here. Let's do something like elf. Let's do like a sort of elven you know, warrior sort of World of Warcraft warrior woman sort of thing. Let's start with that, and then maybe we'll add some other stuff. Um, yeah, so that's one aspect of this, right? Another thing is that we're seeing a lot of police instigating violence. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of people being arrested for no reason. We're seeing agent provocateurs, and you know, a lot of the stuff that in the past, you know, we knew these things happened, but usually people didn't pay attention to it. And you think like, why? Well, it's because everybody has a phone. That's the reason why. You know, like there have been stories of, for example, agent provocateurs going back decades, all the way back to the '60s. You know, the FBI, COINTELPRO, you know, in that kind of thing, infiltrating radical groups, and then when they would go protest, they would, you know, basically start, you know, throwing frickin' bricks. You know, that's where that term bomb thrower comes from. You know, you ever hear people say that, like the guy's a bomb thrower, he's an and you know, means that you're starting trouble, right? That's where that kind of comes from. It's like, well, yeah, we've known that, you know, we've known that's been a thing for a long time, right? But now we're, you know, like this, unlike many, you know, unlike, say, for example, the Occupy Wall Street protests, which happened, you know, not barely a decade ago, right? Maybe, what was that, 2008? So, you know, that's really a decade ago. Like now we have things like, you know, everybody has a phone with a camera in it, and a good camera, a video camera, right? And they're getting, you know, so it's not just like some report of a guy that said he saw something. It's like we're actually getting video of it, and we're gonna look at some of those videos here in a second. You know, video of undercover cops going in and smashing windows to buildings, or you know, pushing people over, that kind of thing, beating up protesters and then running and hiding behind a wall of police because the guy's undercover, you know, that kind of stuff. Um, so it's really like kind of taken the veil off of a lot of, you know, a lot of what of I guess you would call the mainstream narrative, right? And it kind of makes you think, it's like, okay, well, has it always been like this? Or is this time, is it just special this time? Are we living in particularly, you know, oppressive times? I don't think so. I think it's kind of something it's always been like this. And we've just never had the kind of access to alternative media that we have now. You know what I mean? I think what's happening is that in the past, when there would be protests, you know, you'd watch it on the news or CNN or something, and they all follow the same, you know, they all follow the same narrative, right? And now you can just bypass that narrative completely. Like you don't have to go to a mainstream news outlet in order to get your news. You can just go straight to YouTube, and you can see the video straight out of, you know, cops doing things, something like smashing water. You know, that's another thing that they do. Like the protesters will go and they'll set up a medical station where they'll put a bunch of bottles of water and stuff so that people can stay hydrated. Because, you know, it's the middle of the fucking summer, right? So there's, you know, people got to stay hydrated, and plus, you know, plus they can wash their faces off after they get fucking, you know, pepper sprayed or whatever, tear gassed, right? That kind of thing. And, you know, there's like cops going around smashing their water, that kind of thing. Well, that kind of shit happened in back in the NWO protests too. You know, World, you know, Trade Organization, WTO. Sorry, not MWO, WTO organization. Like that kind of shit happened back then also. You know, but there wasn't video of it, and so it just sort of turned into rumors. Well, it's like, yeah, that shit's not a rumor. Do we have like video of it? And another thing that's really disturbing is that a lot of the police actions, they seem to be coordinated between cities, not just like, you know, not just a single. It's like you see the same behavior in cities all over the country, right? Which is really fucking disturbing. So it makes you think: did they have these plans already in place? You know, I think so. I think these have been like I think these have been plans that they put together because they knew civil unrest was coming when, basically when fucking Donald Trump got elected. That's what I think. If I was a conspiracy minded person, that is what I would think. Right. That they put this stuff together, probably going back a couple of years, probably after the, you know, Occupy Wall Street movement. Right. And it was probably some kind of plan put together by police organizations. I really don't think that this had very much to do with the federal government, but who knows? I mean, it could be, couldn't, who knows, right? Maybe it was, but somehow I doubt it. But you know maybe this was something put together by the federal government, something, some kind of guideline saying, okay, in case of civil unrest, here's the plan. This is what you do. This is how you stop it. Blah 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 blah. Right. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I guess eventually, stuff like that has a way of coming out. Right. You can't really keep that kind of thing hidden. Like in real life, conspiracies don't stay secret. You know what I mean? That's the difference between a real conspiracy and a phony baloney fake conspiracy. Like in real life, secrets don't stay secrets. They somebody talks. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, if there really was a plan out there that police departments were like, coordinating around cities and cities, then eventually it'll come out. Somebody will blow a whistle. Somebody will write a book, right? Something will, there will be some sort of evidence because you can't have coordination like that, um, you know, without leaving a paper trail, right? See, that's the thing. That's what people don't get about like all these conspiracy theory people out there thinking that like the world is run by like a cabal of fucking Rothschilds and whatever secret Jewish overlords and blah blah blah, but they're really reptiles, but they're really like fucking whatever and from they're gonna put microchips in the back of your fucking head when they give you the COVID-19 vaccine. People that think that shit, they don't understand like in real life what the logistics of that would entail. You know what I mean? Like you know that was something like these types of movements. They would take hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can't spend that kind of money without having some kind of paper trail. There's people get paid, they have payrolls, they have they have to make plans and documents and it's like, okay, well, are you going to have an office of guys who are going to create the microchip that put in the back of people's heads? Okay, well, who programmed it, who made it, who bought the computers for them? Stuff like that is those are things you can investigate. That's how reporters and like police and shit investigate stuff. Right? And so if there isn't that kind of paper trail, and even the most black ops of black ops stuff will still have, you know, that kind of thing will be hidden, but it's not completely gone. There'll be like holes in the budget. That's why they call them black ops. It's black ops because there's a hole in the budget and they don't say where it goes to, right? But they know how much money got spent on it. See, even shit like that, there's evidence that it actually happened. It's actually happening, right? So that's why when you hear somebody with some crackpot fucking theory, about fucking Bill Gates wanting to microchip everyone on Earth because of COVID-19, or some shit like that, and he has zero proof, then, this is the kind of shit you should ask him for, right? Okay, who's making the microchip? Where'd it come from? What's the name? What's the firmware in the microchip? Okay, seriously, this is the kind of shit that you can ask them, and they never ever ever have any answers to those types of questions because it's made up bullshit. And that's how you can tell when a conspiracy theory is made up bullshit conspiracy theory and when there's actually legs to it, when there's actually something to it, because there will be answers to those types of questions, right? Anyway, kind of went off on a tangent there. Let's see. Let's give her a scimitar, curved kind of scimitar looking sword. There we go. I always thought elves were cooler when they were like sort of slightly kind of Middle Eastern. You know what I mean? Like, Because you have like your sort of like woodland, Tolkien kind of elves, and I always liked more of like the kind of like, you know, slightly Middle Eastern sort of Greek kind of elf thing that you would see in like maybe the Legend of Zelda or something like that. That was always the kind of, I don't know, I always sort of like that. You know what I mean? But maybe it's just because I'm tired of seeing the same fantasy tropes over and over and over in every like movie and video game and fantasy novel that I read or whatever. Let's see. She's looking pretty good. Her head is too big. See, I have a problem with that. That's something I gotta work on. I draw heads too freaking large. I have to like stop doing that. Anyway, so she's got her hair. Let's give her belt. Let's give her breeches. That's another thing that whenever you see these fantasy artists, they always draw like, they'll draw the woman and she'll have like this sort of scantily clad kind of thing with armor that covers her shoulders and her shins and leaves her entire body open. Right? And I always like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't think that kind of thing's cool, but I just think it's overused and, maybe a little bit sexist. So let's just give her, something slightly sexy, but also more practical, like pants. Right? You know. Um, as a side note, why is it that women's clothes never have pockets? I don't understand that. My wife, she has, she buys her pants. Her pants have little teeny tiny pockets that you can't actually put anything in. It's like, what the hell? You can't even like put your car keys in these pockets. This is ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. Damn, it's hot in here. Let's see. Okay, not too bad right now. It's kind of turning out a little bit better. It looks better than that thing we drew last time. I'll tell you that for sure. Okay, let's give her some boots. So yeah, what else are we gonna talk about here? Well, I guess we can start off with George Floyd. So if you haven't heard about this, the medical examiner in the case is pretty much setting it up to get the cops off. So if you haven't heard, they did arrest the one guy that actually murdered George Floyd. What was his name again? Derek something or other. I can't wait. I got his name written down here. The fuck was this guy's name? I don't know. It was like Derek whatever. Started with a C. And yeah, they actually wait. I got it right here. His name is Derek Chauvin. They did actually arrest that guy, and they originally gave him murder 3, which comes down to, he killed him, but it wasn't intentional. They've upgraded that to murder in the 2nd degree, so which is a little bit harder to prove, but also has much stiffer penalties. I mean, murder in the 1st degree being premeditated murder. Murder in the 2nd degree meaning like I think what it was is you meant to harm him, but you didn't specifically mean to kill him. And then murder in the 3rd degree is like you were responsible for his death, but you had nothing to do with it. Like you just complete accident. That's like murder in the 3rd degree, right? So yeah, murder in the 2nd degree. So that's a little bit better. I mean, if he gets convicted, he'll still get like 25 years or something, but probably not likely. Probably more like 5 to 10. Is what we're really looking at if he's convicted. And it looks like the medical examiner in the case is already kind of setting it up so that he doesn't, to make it, look like that the guy George Floyd died of natural causes, which is ridiculous. And basically they're saying there is no evidence of suffocation, asphyxiation, and that he had underlying medical problems, right, which actually really caused his death, along with any intoxicants that he had. And if you think about that, it's like along with any intoxicants that the guy had. So they didn't drug test him, right? And he didn't have any intoxicants. He wasn't on drugs or any shit like that. But they just threw that in there to cast doubt. That's what it is. So it's like that way the jury can get, it's the whole point behind the medical examiner is to cast doubt on the fact that this guy Chauvin actually killed him, which is bullshit. And the family George Floyd's family actually went and got their own independent autopsy, which concluded, obviously, that, you know, he died of fucking suffocation, you know, and, you know, came to the conclusion that, yeah, if this fucking asshole cop's foot was on this guy's back of this guy's head, you know, choking him out and shit, he would have lived. That's because that's the truth. I mean, for fuck's sake, right? So yeah, that's fucking bullshit. So you can already kind of guess that that's how they're setting it up. Now, I still think that this guy's going to prison, but probably not for 25 years. I think that at this point, if they didn't send this guy Shove into prison, then they know that it would cause another riot, you know, because it's going to take a year, you know, in order for it to go through the trial and blah, 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 and all that shit, right? Because, you know, our justice system moves slow as molasses, and for a reason, you know, because you got to have appeals and you got to have all this shit to go through and blah blah blah, and it's actually kind of good that it takes that long sometimes because it gives everybody a chance to exhaust all of the avenues of the law that they may have, etc., etc., etc. Right? You know, you don't want it to be like a guy gets arrested and then thrown in the slammer for the rest of his life within, you know, 24 hours. You don't want it to be like that. Okay, it should take a long time because this is stuff that, you know, affects the rest of somebody's life, even in a case like this. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's for a case like this where a guy murders somebody and we have it on video, you know, and we know that he fucking did it, he, you know, that person should still have the same chance to go through all of the same legal rigmarole that anybody else would have, you know. That's how the system works, right? So it's like, yeah, okay. But still, you gotta remember, this is gonna take months up to it. It could even be you know, this time next year that we actually see a trial through this, right? I'm drinking here because it's fucking hot as hell and I'm sweating my ass off. Sorry, you know, it's June. I turned on the air conditioning, but it's all loud and I don't want it to screw up the stream. Yeah, so it could take a long time, and don't be surprised if at the end of all of that, this guy gets off, you know, with a light sentence. And I'm saying light sentence because I really don't think that they're going to risk letting him not get convicted, right? And the reason I say that is because they don't want another, you know, they don't want another fucking riot, right? And if you think about, you know, that's another cynical thing to say, right? Like, oh, how can they? Yeah, okay, they can control that shit, okay? You know, let's not bullshit ourselves here either. If they really wanted to put this guy behind bars, they would. And I think now, you know, they're probably figuring like, how can we do it so that it satisfies people so that they don't feel like justice has been cheated, right? That's what I think is what's going through the police, you know, and Derek Chauvin and his lawyers right now. You know, that's what they're thinking. They're thinking this guy's got to go to prison. How can we do this so that he doesn't spend the rest of his life there, but at the same time it doesn't cause another riot? And it's, you know, it's fucked up, and that's not how the system should work in any respect, but this is real life. Okay, and you gotta, you know, in real life, these are the kinds of decisions that get made, you know, out there, right? I really wouldn't be surprised if they like cop to a plea deal or something either. You know, if they take a deal and the guy gets, you know, 7 years, 10 years, something like that. Even that might be too much, but anyhow, so that's kind of fucked up. I did want to show some stuff here. There's been some really weird ass stories going on here. Let me just put this over there. Okay, some really bizarre stories. First one we have is this thing where in God, where was this? This dude shows up with a fucking bow and arrow, right? And fires it into the crowd. You know, like apparently this was in bow and arrow guy. Like, where did this thing happen? Let me open up bow and arrow guy here. Let's see. I've got this one page here that has a lot of different stories all put together, and it's got to have like annoying videos and shit all over it. Okay, this was in no, Let me just scroll down here looking for bow and arrow guy. Sorry, I will turn on the monitor as soon as I find it. Here it is. Okay, Salt Lake City. There's a guy named Brandon McCormick. And apparently this guy drove down to the protest, right, with a bow and arrow and started threatening the crowd with it, which is insane. You know, absolutely insane, right? And so the crowd reacted how you would think the crowd would react. And, you know, he actually shoots an arrow off, and after this guy shoots an arrow off at some people, the crowd goes and basically just beats the shit out of him. So let me watch this here. Let me turn on my left monitor, and I'll mute myself and turn on the desktop audio. Here we go.
Brendan, okay, I'll play this one. There he is.
Look at this!
You get my car?
You call yourself an American?
Yes, I'm American. All lives matter.
That's right, but they won't matter until we're... Don't you dare! This is his car! This is his car!
So yeah, this is fucking crazy. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but right around here, the guy actually shoots it at a dude who's on the ground here, you know. So it's like, you think, okay, yeah, the crowd ran up and just beat the crap out of this guy because he was threatening people with this weapon, but he actually fires this arrow.
Yes, I'm American. All lives matter.
Right, and that also, yeah, nice little freaking, you know, whistle there, dog whistle. All right, all lives matter. Yeah, okay. Anyway, obviously not the guy that you shot the fucking arrow at. Obviously his life doesn't matter. But
that's right, but they won't matter.
Right after, like, basically the woman tells him not to.
Don't you dare!
So right here.
This is his car. This is his car.
See that? Do you see that? He just basically shot it right at that guy. And it's like, did he hit the guy? Like, we don't know, right? So yeah, that, you know, and here's the thing, you know, the right-wingers and stuff, right? Proud Boys, shit like that. They're taking stuff like this and they're like using it as propaganda now and basically saying, see, you know, like fucking the protesters are assaulting people who are just out there trying to defend, you know, defend the police or whatever. And it's like, man, you know, that's bullshit. This guy comes to a fucking protest, pulls out a weapon, shoots a fucking arrow at somebody, could have killed somebody. He got everything, he got what he deserved. And then here's another thing. So later on in the video here, they show the, you know, press interviewing this guy, and he lies his fucking ass off. So like right around here, right? This is Sam Cedar, by the way. If you don't know, Sam Cedar's a radio host guy. He's awesome. You should watch him. But let me mute myself again. And watch basically, here's the guy that got his ass beat, the dude with the bow and arrow, and watch how he just lies his fucking ass off.
And get their side of the story. You may want to just sort of double check on this, but here is the news report. Go ahead.
You guys tell me your name one more time.
Brandon McCormick.
Brandon McCormick, he says his car was turned over and set on fire because he yelled, "All lives matter." What happened?
I got beat up. Well, first I got beat up when I yelled, "All lives matter." Then I pulled out weapons, then I got beat up some more. Then the cops grabbed me, and my car got totaled. My phone, everything. I lost everything. Coming down here to try to protect them with what weapons I had, because I am a chick felon. I've changed my life, and I back up the law enforcement. You know, I know some cops are bad. I know some people, all races are bad.
Did the police come and rescue you? What happened?
Finally. But I lost my car. I lost my phone.
How badly is your car damaged?
Well, I seen it on fire, so it's totaled. And everything I had, and I had probably another $1,000 worth of stuff in my car.
And what happened to the people who turned your car? Nothing.
I don't know if it got turned over. I just know it got totaled.
Can you ask him, was he in the car when the protesters approached him and tried to flip the car over?
Were you in the car when when they turned it over?
No, they didn't. I don't know if they turned it over or not. They beat me up, and the cops came and got me.
You were in the car at the time?
Yes, and then they torched it after the cops took me, including my phone. I can't even call for a ride. So I've been marching with these people all the way down here and all the way down here, trying to convince them all lives matter. These cops didn't do it. Some cops are bad, some cops are...
How did you get hurt on your forehead?
Because I yelled out my window, cops...
Did somebody hit you with something?
Yes, 2 black African Americans. They beat me through my open window that I yelled out, all lives matter.
Yeah, that's not what happened. That's complete, total fucking horseshit. This guy is lying his fucking ass off. Apparently he didn't know that somebody was videotaping it, right? Somebody was fucking taping this shit of him, you know, just showing up and threatening people with a bow and arrow. Like, nobody hit him while he was in his car, right? Nobody went and attacked this dude first. He got out and shot a fucking arrow at somebody and could have killed him. It's like such bullshit. And now you're starting to see, you know, I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised this guy didn't show up with an AR-15. All right, seriously, like, what's with the bow and arrow shit? Like, I mean, I'm really surprised that the dude didn't come was with a fucking, you know, with a gun and start shooting fucking people. I think really it's only a matter of time before that happens. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's queue up the next video because I did want to watch a couple of other ones here. Hey, I got somebody watching Surface. George Floyd was a druggie. Yeah, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if he was on drugs or if he did drugs or if he was a drug addict or anything like that, because, you know, his crime supposedly was trying to buy groceries with a fake 20, but we don't know if he actually did that or not because he's dead. And, you know, even if he did, and even if he was on drugs and used a fake 20 to buy some groceries, that's still not a crime that, you know, warrants the death penalty, right? So, sorry, doesn't fucking matter, right? That's how it works, you know, unless you think every person in the country who does drugs deserves to die, then I don't want to hear no bullshit. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. You got that guy, right? Then there's lots of really weird shit about, like, the police instigating violence. You know, that's like fucking crazy shit. Let's see. There was this thing that I just saw here, where the police start shooting pepper spray at, like, you know, a guy that has a pregnant woman in his car. And I don't know if you haven't seen this video is fucked up. So this is from the Damage Report, which is a Young Turks thing. Watch this shit. So basically, this guy gets out because they shot, like, you know, rubber bullets and tear gas at his car, and his pregnant wife is in the car. And he gets out to yell at the cops, and then they just start shooting his car again. And it's like, he's not doing anything. He's not threatening anybody. He's not being violent. He's not even protesting. They just start shooting his car because they can, because they're assholes, you know, because they felt like it. And it's like, oh, here goes some uppity fucking citizen, you know. Watch this shit. This shit is crazy right here. This is ridiculous right here.
My girlfriend in it? My pregnant girlfriend in it? Are you? Shoot it! You shot a car with a pregnant woman in it! With tear gas! You ain't going nowhere! Shoot it again! Shoot it again!
That's unbelievable. That's the most disgusting fucking thing I've... Absolutely unbelievable. You know? Look at that. That guy didn't fucking, like... You know, that guy didn't do anything. He yelled at a cop. Well, you know, yelling at a cop is not illegal. Alright? That's not something that you can just, like, you know, beat the shit out of somebody or arrest them or shoot them with a rubber bullet for. Like... Seriously, now why would anybody having that happen to them, right? Why would anybody ever trust the police ever again? When they see that, when, you know, imagine you're that guy, right? You're that guy. You have your wife in the car who's pregnant with your child, right? And, you know, the cops fucking, like, just unload on you like that for opening your mouth. That's what it was, right? He didn't do anything to those fucking police officers. You know, he told them off, right? You know, it's not against the law to yell at a cop. It isn't. You know, there's no law that says if you yell at a cop, you go to prison. That's bullshit. You know, being insubordinate to a police officer. That's total fucking horseshit. They can't arrest you for that. They're not supposed to be able to. But they always fucking do. You know, try it. Go yell at a cop. See what happens. He'll probably kick the shit out of you and arrest you on some horseshit charge, you know. And then you find out, oh, why did I get arrested? And it'll just be some total fucking bullshit. And even if you end up getting off and not going to prison, whatever, then you wasted all this time and all this money defending it, you know, defending yourself for something that's, you know, supposed to be fucking legal. It's total fucking bullshit. It's ridiculous. And maybe this is why this protest has gone on for so long. Maybe this is why people are pissed off. And it hasn't just petered off after a couple days like it usually does. Now, you know, like, what are we going on, day 5 at this point? You know, maybe that's why. Maybe it's like this ridiculous, you know, crackdown, and all of these instances that we're seeing of police instigating violence and, you know, assaulting people who are, like, not causing problems. You know, it's one thing if that guy was, like, looting or something, or throwing rocks or whatever, that would have been justified. Then it's like, yeah, okay, stop him. Use force to stop him. Be my guest, okay? I got no, you know, I have no compunction about, you know, people looting, getting their comeuppance, right? I don't go for that. Like, there's some people on the left that actually support the looters and all this other shit. In fact, I want to show some screen caps of comments to that effect later on. I'm not one of them. You know, I don't support looters at all, right? I support people who obey the fucking law, okay? And that includes, you know, police who obey the law too, right? And so when people break the law, I'm against them, and that includes police who break the law. And it's fucking ridiculous. But we'll come to that in a minute. I do want to show a couple of other things here. In particular, we're starting to see lots of really, like, weird shit here. Like, I got a bunch of stuff saved on Reddit, right? Here's one about a guy who was basically blinded by fucking... Here, let me turn on my monitor here, left monitor. This guy who is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, this is one that I saved. The cops spray a guy directly in the face with pepper spray, and then as he turns around, they shoot a tear gas canister directly at his face.
Oh shit. Whoa! Fuck y'all!
So, I don't know if you saw that, but look. See, it bounces off the back of this guy's head. So first they're spraying him in the face. Alright, see, he's way over here. Right? They come up to him. Okay, he's not challenging anything. You know, they have a line. He's like 10 feet away. They walk up to him and spray him in the face. So that's the first thing.
Whoa!
Right here.
Fuck y'all!
See that? See how that bounced off his fucking head? What's going to happen to this guy? He's probably in the hospital right now, right? And these two cops that just did that, what's going to happen to them? Nothing. They're going to get away with it completely. Why would anybody who saw this or was involved in this ever trust the police ever again? Right? I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. Oh my god. Okay, let's turn that one off. I got a bunch of them saved here. Here's another one about a police chopper.
All right, now this is live.
And what it is that basically fucking, if you watch this cop right here, he smashes the window on this car, and and the news chopper pulls away right when that happens, right? And it's sort of kind of like how they're all in cahoots. Let me make this large so you guys can see it. So watch this car right here, okay?
was live. Now watch this car.
Basically, it looks like they're doing a sweep.
Watch this car.
To make sure that anybody who may be, that's right.
Yeah, does that look like looters to you?
In Riverside, anybody who
yeah.
been left.
Oh, we're gonna conveniently pan away. Let's zoom out because we don't want to show the cops actively destroying fucking property that they can blame on protesters.
Definitely sends a message out there to a lot of
fucking horse shit.
Also putting.
Yep. I mean, come on, man. You know, it's not like. I mean, what is this shit here, man? Like, what about this guy who owns this car? You know, he's just gonna show up and he's gonna come back. His windows are smashed. He's gonna think protesters did it. He's gonna think that, you know, Black Lives Matter did it on purpose. It's fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. One more. This is really fucked up. Basically, I'm gonna mute this so I can talk over it. Basically, this guy here is, you know, getting, you know, arrested, and the cop keeps putting a baton in his hand. He's picking up his fucking club, his baton, putting it in the dude's hand. Like, watch. See this guy right here? See, he's got, watch, they're holding him down. He's got his club right there. He puts it in his hand. The guy leaves it. He puts it back in his hand. See, he picks the guy's hand up and puts it on the fucking baton. Did you see that? Right here. See, watch. See that? One more time. One more time. Right here. Picks the guy's hand up. Puts it on the fucking baton. Look at that shit. Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Like, and now he's punching his hand. He's like, oh, and then they sprayed him. Right. Oh, yeah, okay, wait, he's armed. Oh, let's get him. Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. This is in Philadelphia. You know, never try. Yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I said before in my last stream that I'm not anti-cop mainly because my father was a police officer. You know, for 30 years, and you know he retired. He's retired now, but he was a cop. You know, and it's like, so yeah, this is making it really, really hard for me to stay that way. Right? Seriously, when you see this kind of shit, it really, like, it makes you fucking sad inside. That's what it is. It hurts inside. It's like the rage is so much that, you know, because it's one thing if these are criminals, right? If these were like, you know, if you saw protesters doing it, if you saw criminals doing this, right? And then you could always just get mad, oh, fucking criminals, somebody should do something. Well, yeah, fucking criminals. Somebody should do something. Well, you can't do anything. That's the really fucked up part about it. There's nothing you can do about that. All of those police officers that we just saw, they're gonna get away with it. You know, there's gonna be no repercussions against any of those guys, right? I really highly doubt that there will be any investigations at all to stop any of them, and we'll probably never hear anything about any of these stories ever again. And that's the real fucked up part about a lot of this. So, I don't know, man. There's some other shit that happened. It's like, I don't know, it gets depressing going through all of this, but, you know, we got to talk about these things. Because if you don't, like, you know, face this shit head on, then, you know, what kind of world do you want to live in, right? I mean, that's basically what the decision that we have right now is like. Do you want to live in a world where this is the norm, where like this kind of thing happens and there's no, you know, no recourse, where like basically this is the state right now, you know, like like this is the state doing this. This isn't like some criminal gang, you know. These aren't just bad cops. That's another one too. You always hear, oh, there's always bad cops and good cops, like that guy with the bow and arrow said. Yeah, there's bad cops. Not all cops are bad. Blah 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 blah. Well, fucking seems like a whole shitload of them actually are, that we're watching right here. And you know, you do hear good stories once in a while here coming out of this, you know, coming out of this thing about there was something in Denver where the police went and like marched with the protesters and blah 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 blah. And you know, and that's great. Yeah, okay, awesome, cool. You know, but you know, it's important. It's important to you know, acknowledge that this is a problem, because that's the thing, is that a lot of people are in denial that this is even, you know, this kind of thing is even a problem, right? Okay, we're gonna draw this huge ogre behind her. We'll just make this sort of like, okay, these guys are part of the horde on World of Warcraft or whatever, you know, because apparently the Night Elves are, you know, part of the horde now or some shit. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with WoW lately. I've been playing WoW Classic, so I don't know what's going on with you know, the latest WoW retail expansion. Right, so let's give them, let's see, the orcs always have these sorts of weird-ass, like, you know, weird-ass hairstyles like that, and they're always, like, huge, and they got, like, weird stubby legs and long fucking gorilla-like arms. Those are orcs, you know. Let's see, orcs don't have to look proportionate. They can be all weird and stubby and have bendy legs that are all bow-legged. Alright, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll come back into here and we'll put some more detail in there in a minute. There was some other shit that I wanted to show you guys. There's lots of evidence now of agent provocateurs. You know, we're seeing like similar videos to this of, you know, basically undercover cops. Here was one here that basically shows in Minneapolis. Let me turn this on here. A cop walking up and, well, I guess you don't know. We don't know if this is a cop, right? But I would put money on the fact that it's a, you know, I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet that this is a police officer doing this. Going up and smashing these windows at an AutoZone, right? So, let me go ahead and play this here for you. This is kind of fucked up, too.
Part of that shit. Dude. Oh, I zoomed in. I'll zoom out a little bit. Those cops will come for you if you're pulling that crap.
Looks like, yeah, starts to see the AutoZone.
I just came with a hammer and smashed the windows.
I'm gonna fight you right now. You wanna go? Yes, what's up? Somebody hold my blunt. Hey! Somebody hold my blunt. I'm gonna keep it. Hey! Are you a fucking cop? What's up?
So, what do you think, folks? I mean, kind of looked like a cop to me, right? You know, now you got to think, okay, because we do know that there are undercover police doing this. In fact, you know, I got another video here of, there's like another guy, right, who like basically, there was a picture of police and like undercover cops wearing white armbands. And it was so that they could, like, you know, basically identify themselves and shit like that. Like, I actually don't have the link to that right now. But when I find that, I'm going to put it in the little description. Because that's, you know, absolute proof that there are undercover police officers, right? This kind of thing, you know, it's like, do we know, was this guy a cop? You know, I give it a 90% chance that it was. And then you got to think, well, why? Why would the police want to instigate violence like this? You know, why would they want to do this? Because that's what that guy did. He basically went up, smashed those windows. You saw how, like, casually he did it, too. You know, he just casually walked up, smashed it, walked away when people started questioning him. Didn't hang out with him. You know, and then Sam Cedar made a point about this, right? Because there are, you know, basically what that guy is doing, he's dressed like a black bloc protester, right? If you don't know what the black bloc is, those are the anarchists. You know, basically the anarchists, sort of anti-capitalist, smash the system sort of dudes who, like, you know, usually show up at protests like this, and they're the ones that, you know, throw the bottle of cocktails first and trash the Starbuckses and stuff like that. And there's been reports, you know, these guys have been around for a long time. The first time I ever heard of them personally was during the WTO riots, you know, back in like 1999, or was it 2000? I don't know. It was around there. It was during the Clinton administration, right? You know, and basically, you know, we didn't have cell phones back then, so we don't know, you know, were they always fucking plants like this? You know, maybe that guy wasn't a cop. Maybe that guy was a, you know, you got to think about like these possibilities. That guy could have been a white supremacist. You know, like that's another thing, because they're basically taking advantage of this to fucking like, you know, start turmoil, right? Because they want to start the fucking race war and shit. And they call it the Boogaloo. So if you see people online talking about the Boogaloo, that's what they're talking about. Instigating a race war. You know, you're seeing that kind of thing on 4chan and on the more disgusting parts of Reddit and that kind of thing, right? So maybe that guy was, you know, one of those fucking assholes. Maybe he actually wasn't a police officer. You know, maybe he was both. Maybe he was a cop and a white supremacist, right? I mean, we don't know, you know, but we do know that it's like, you know, now the protesters there are going to get blamed for smashing that fucking building. And it's like why would, you know, if you got to think like, okay, if the police are going to do this, why would they do it? You know, like really the only reason that you would want to do this, to instigate violence like this, right? To destroy property, is to discredit the protests, right? What interest do the police have in discrediting protests? You know, because they're not supposed to have an interest. They're supposed to uphold the law and maintain order, right? That's what the cops are there for. The cops are, you know, so if they are the police doing it, you know, so that they can crush the protest, right? If that is the case, then that means that there's an ulterior political motive. You know, somebody is ordering this, you know. This is the kind of shit that you would see, once again, from COINTELPRO way back in the day, you know. That kind of thing is supposed to be over with. We're not supposed to have shit like COINTELPRO anymore, right? So is that actually happening? Is that guy an FBI agent? You know, is he part of some federal agency that's doing this in order to you know, discredit popular uprisings and shit like that in the wake of the Occupy protests, right? I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Trump administration to have some kind of, you know, modern day COINTELPRO sort of thing. In fact, I bet there's probably people out here who are more knowledgeable on that kind of thing that could tell me if that's actually something that's happening or not, right? I bet that probably is, you know, who knows, right? But I mean, that's the thing, is that you can't jump to conclusions, right? Because there's people on the left that see this, and the first thing they think is cop, white supremacist, right? And, you know, we do know that they're planning, like, you know, that there are white supremacists online that are talking about strategizing and how that they can use this to their advantage. And there's been people talking about Proud Boys and stuff going around and brawling with protesters again, you know, shit like that. You know, they're basically fucking throwing themselves into the mix, right? And we also know that, like, other weird shit is happening. For example, there are places around the country where piles of bricks are just showing up for no reason. They're calling them the phantom brick effect, right? And that sounds like bullshit, right? But it's not. It's true. So there's actually, once again, a video. You know, thanks to cell phones, we have proof of all this shit. There's a video of phantom bricks showing up. So watch this.
This right here?
Yeah, they put them there.
This the setup.
They put them there on purpose,
y'all know
bro.
Where we at.
They gonna set them hoes right up on the route.
Y'all know what building this is right here. I ain't even gonna say what name it is.
Hey, where do them bricks go to? Where do them bricks go to? Where do them bricks go to?
We gotta do better.
Ain't no damn construction.
Gotta do better.
Ain't no damn construction around here.
I see.
Ain't no damn construction around here. You just gonna set a pallet of bricks right there. Oh, okay.
Listen, I did jury duty 3 months ago. Y'all don't keep no bricks right there. Do better.
All right, here goes another one. So, yeah, that's suspicious. You know, that was in Chicago, right? suddenly this pile
All
of
right, my
fucking-
friend. Everybody says those vitamins.
Okay. Suddenly this fucking pile of bricks shows up out of nowhere, right? But that's not the only place. So that happened in Chicago, right? Let me find the picture, because I got a picture of it somewhere else here. So let me go to view, and let me find my phantom brick picture. It's pretty, let's see, did I save it? Shit, I didn't save it. Anyway, I had a picture of another pile of bricks, and here it is. Found it. Okay, check this shit out here. As soon as it loads, there we go. This is in Noble Square in Dallas, right? I think this is in Dallas. Or no, this is Chicago, right? The other place was in Dallas. So look at this. You know, somebody came, dropped off a whole bunch of bricks, and then left. Who does that? Who just shows up, puts a shitload of bricks on a corner? Look, there's no construction going on here, right? There's just, you know, 5 pallets of bricks. You know, 6, how many here? 9. 9 pallets of bricks for no reason. You know, what the fuck? Like, why? They're bait bricks. That's what it is. It's bait, right? They're putting them there, and then, you know what's going to happen? The protesters are going to come through here, and then one of the undercover fucking cops or whoever they are, white supremacists or whoever the fuck they are going to start picking up bricks, and they're going to start throwing them. And then that's going to get everybody else to start throwing them, right? That's what they want to do. It's, you know, and the fact that this happened in 2 different cities, right? This isn't just all in one place. What happened once in Dallas and once in Chicago. You know, this isn't like some fucking conspiracy. This is like true shit. We have videos of this. I have evidence, right? This is evidence of a deeper, you know, a deeper cooperation, coordination between cities across state lines. It's pretty fucking crazy, you know. I mean, Jesus Christ. Man, I had some other pictures I wanted to show you guys here. Let me see. Let's go through some of this stuff here. Boy, that's coronavirus stats. Here's a close-up of that guy that we were just looking at. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see him. This is that dude that we saw that was smashing the windows in, you know, at the AutoZone there that we just sued, and then the guy with holding the pizza confronting him. You know, look at that shit. Okay, does this guy look like he's like, you know, some 20-something with like, no, he's got like professional equipment on. All right. So yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Let's zoom out a little bit. And then I wanted to see some other things. Here's some really fucking ridiculous, horrible shit that people are doing. This is the George Floyd challenge. My God. I mean, please ignore the police sirens outside. There are no actual protests or anything going on where I live right now. Yeah, man. This is fucked up right here. This is like, and it kind of just goes to show you what animals people are. You know? Like, just making fun of this. It's like, man, this guy's dead. Not only is this guy dead, but now millions of dollars worth of damage. Property damage has happened. There's rioting. There's looting. The fucking president is tear gassing people at a church. We'll come to that in a minute. You know, shit is hitting the fan out there. You know, society is like fucking on, you know, crumbling out there. These fucking assholes can't put their racism down for 2.5 seconds, and they gotta like, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I hope all these guys get fired from whatever jobs they have. Right. What is this guy, crossing guard? I hope he gets fired. I hope they all get alienated and they die fucking cold and alone for the rest of their fucking lives. Now you're starting to see lots of, you know, I don't know. So one thing that I did say in my last live stream was that, you know, this was, the last live stream I did was like right after the shit happened. I really wasn't seeing a lot in the way of racist sort of memes and things. But now it's been a couple of days, and now you're starting to see it. You're starting to see them. So, for example, seeing shit like this, somebody went vandalize this memorial for fucking, you know, George Floyd. Right. That's fucked up. I think this is actual feces on here. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. Here's another one. Now you're starting to see lots of you're starting to see also memes that are not necessarily against George Floyd, but are more against the protesters. So here goes one. This came off of Facebook. Right. My favorite Facebook group, which is, you know, this libertarian meme dump Facebook group where I go and look at libertarians like post shit that's completely against what their fucking you know, philosophy says. Right. Yeah, that you know, just a little bit of racism there. Here goes another one. You know, you're starting to see these types of memes getting put out, you know, in order to delegitimize these protests, right? And like I said before, you know, I'm not gonna like, you know, here's another one, anti-looter fucking thing, right? And you know, I'm not even gonna like fucking try to defend looters at all. I'm not defending looters, but it's fucked up, absolutely fucked up. Just that, you know, this is like real shit that's like actually like hurting people. This is a guy that was actually commenting on my videos here. You know, let me make that a little bigger. His name was Jack Burton. He's a fucking asshole. If you don't know, Jack Burton is the name of the main character from Big Trouble in Little China. And I want to kind of show you what we got here. Okay, so this was on, you know, listen to what this guy says. I think I'll go for a jog now. Where to put my cargo shorts in terminal. This was talking about, you know, Ahmaud Arbery from, you know, a few weeks ago. Seems like fucking that was like ancient times, doesn't it? That seems like so long ago now. That's because every week we have another fucking crisis, right? Look at this guy. Okay. One thing I wanted to... Now, why am I bringing this up? Why am I showing you this comment from this racist piece of shit that was on one of my videos, right? Because, look at what he says. I think I'll go for a jog. Where did I put my cargo shorts and Timberlands? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So, the word jogger has become a dog whistle for the alt-right. Right? For the racists, for the alt-right. You know, that kind of thing. And so, where they would used to say the N-word, or they would say dindoos, that was another one, you know, the word that comes from Michael Brown, because Michael Brown's friend said he didn't do anything, he didn't do nothing. So then it became didn't do nothing, right? That was another. So if you see anybody with the word dindu in their name or their internet handle or some shit like that, that's what they're talking about. And now the word jogger. The jogger has become, you know, basically fucking a dog whistle for the N-word now. So if you see people out there on YouTube, you know, talking about jogging and shit like that, or I saw a couple of joggers, that kind of thing, just beware, that could be what they're talking about. It's fucking ridiculous. Here goes a fucking Proud Boy guy that they saw marching, right? Yeah, you know, holding the, yeah. So the instigators are out there. Here's an example of a positive meme that I saw that I wanted to share with everybody, because I actually thought this was, you know, pretty poignant. This is done pretty well. See, the whole point behind memes is to get your, you know, the thing, you know what memes do really well? Because a lot of people hate memes. They say, fucking memes, blah, blah, blah. It's screwing up, you know, the internet culture is bullshit. And yeah, it is, okay. What a properly done meme can do is get your point across in such a way without leaving room for doubt. You know, they're a really good way of conveying emotion and getting a point across quickly without any BS attached to it. Right. And I think this meme actually does that really well. You know, this is a perfect example of casual racism here weaponized racism. Remember this lady? This is a lady that was calling the cops on the guy because the one birdwatcher dude, because he asked her to fucking leash her dog, right? Oh, wait a minute. I'm not actually showing this. Shit. Sorry. Here we go. Did I have that turned off this whole time? Wow. I hope if you guys... Did you guys see the Proud Boy? Shit. Let me go back. This is what the Proud Boy looked like. This little pudgy asshole right here. Anyway. But yeah, this meme, I think, is something that was done really well. Right? It's fucked up. It's absolutely fucked up, and I know. You know, but it's true. Right? There was one other thing I wanted to show you here. This is something that I also saw in my favorite libertarian group on Facebook. You know, Liberty Hangout. Liberty Hangout is basically the Facebook group of what's her name? That one fake reporter girl that shit her pants. I can't remember her name. She's like this blonde chick who like goes out and tries to like, you know, humiliate liberals and leftists, and in real life just has no fucking clue what she's doing and sounds like a complete idiot. And also there's like a photo of her passed out at a party with just like a ton of like feces. Like apparently she got so drunk that she fell and shit herself. I'll find her name. I can't remember her name. Anyway, but yeah, this is Liberty Hangout. You know, they're supposed to be a libertarian group, and I just want to read this. Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see this tweet, because I thought this was ridiculous and hilarious. Donald Trump should declare himself a monarch and leave the presidency to his son when he retires. It's the only way to prevent Democrats from having permanent control of Washington and ensuring right-wing values cease to exist. You'll never be able to vote for conservative ideas soon. Yeah, that's democracy right there, you know. Conservative ideas, you know, democracy is supposed to be a conservative idea, you know. Supposed to be. In real life, it isn't, obviously. Okay, so I guess that kind of brings us to Trump. I don't know what time we got. About an hour. Okay, we can go on for a little while longer. Yeah, but before we get off of the whole, you know, of the riots and police brutality and all of that stuff, you know, if you live out someplace where there's, you know, where there's activity, I guess, right? Let me turn this fucking thing off. Okay. If you live out someplace where there's activity and, you know, there's protests going on and maybe even a little bit of looting or whatever, you know, whatever you decide to do, if you decide to take part or if you decide to whatever, please stay safe. Stay safe, you know, if you're going to go out there, and be aware that, you know, shit is going south and you could be in some serious danger, right? And, you know, if you're going out there, I think it's great, you know, more power to you. Go out, protest, do your thing. I really hope that if you see somebody breaking the law, you try to stop them, or at the very least record it, get evidence of it, right? And all of that stuff, you know, whether it's somebody looting, you know, somebody vandalizing something, or if it's, you know, the police doing shit like, you know, shooting a protester in the back of the head with fucking a, you know, tear gas canister or something like that. You know, whether it's state violence or it's like fucking violence by protesters or violence by counter protesters or whatever. Just please be safe. Be safe, and, you know, remember that you're putting your life in your hands when you go out there, and act accordingly. And also record all of it. You know, record everything. Have your phone on, you know, bring a camera, record the police, record the protesters, record the news. Record everyone and everything, you know, because ultimately that's what's going to prove what really happened. Regardless of, even if it's just a peaceful protest and nothing happens, get that on video too, because we need to actually show people protesting and doing it the right way, and that will help the message. That will help the message that, you know, not all of the protesters are violent and shit like that, right? And so, yeah, if you're going out there, just be safe. Number one thing, be safe. And if it looks sketchy, get the hell out of there. That's the other thing too. Don't put your life on the line. You know, you're more valuable to the country alive than you are dead. And that's everybody, right? Regardless, you know, don't die out there. You're more valuable to the country alive. You know, you're more valuable to the struggle, you know, to make the country a better place alive than you are dead. Anyway, but I did want to move on a little bit because we started talking about Trump. So we got to go back to talking about Trump because fucking this is, you know, Trump's America. So Donald Trump had a very, very bad week this week. He basically, yeah, he fucking, let me turn all these fucking pictures off here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's go over here and, Donald Trump did some crazy shit, you know. Basically, he gassed, well, he didn't personally gas protesters, right? There were protesters outside of the White House, and Donald Trump wanted to go across the street to Lafayette, you know, go across the street to St. John's Church, right? And in between St. John's Church and the White House is Lafayette Square, which is where a lot of protesters were hanging out. And apparently, traditionally, that's a place where protesters hang out, right? And, you know, Donald Trump wanted to walk over there for a photo op. Now, why did he want to do that? Because the night before, he basically was hiding like a coward in the White House bunker. I'm sure you've all heard about this now. It's been a couple of days since this happened. Donald Trump, you know, they talks a lot of tough shit. You know, you got to remember, this is a man. Donald Trump said that once when about school shooters that he would run into the school if there was a school shooting and try to disarm the shooter. This is what he said, you know. He said that he himself personally would do that. And in real life, he goes and hides, you know, when there's protesters outside of the White House, right? Now, remember, there's every cop in the fucking world is out there in front of the White House stopping these protesters. He's got the Secret Service. He's probably has snipers on the roof targeting different protesters, just waiting for the word to start fucking sniping them, right? There is no way in hell that any protesters are going to break through the fucking White House gates and storm the White House lawn and smash through the windows and pull Donald Trump out and fucking like lynch him and shit. You know, like they did Mussolini or something, you know. That 0% chance of that ever fucking happening ever. Okay? But still, like, you know, the alpha male he is, he spent the night down inside of the fucking of the White House bunker. Right. Now, here's the thing. Myself personally, you know, because a lot of people were calling him, you know, a coward for doing this. Right. I think they called him Bunker Boy is what's going on Twitter now. Right. And apparently a lot of conservatives were saying that too, you know. And personally myself, I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did. Right. He's the fucking president of the country, for crying out loud. Right. I think what probably happened is that the Secret Service probably advised him to go down there, you know, and then he took their advice and went. And you know what? I got nothing wrong. I don't judge anybody, especially the president, for taking that kind of precaution. You know what I mean? Right. And, you know, they probably told him to do it, and then he did it. Okay. It's just funny that he denies it. You know, if he would just come out and say, yeah, the Secret Service recommended I go down to this bunker for my own safety, nobody would have said shit. Right. But he can't handle the fact that it makes him look weak. And he can't handle the fact that people are fucking making fun of him. Right. Because of this. So he's basically lied. He lied about it. He went down, you know, the next day, said that, oh, I was there. I was inspecting the bunker, is what he said. Inspecting the fucking bunker? What were you inspecting in the fucking bunker? Okay. Why does the president need to inspect the bunker, number one? Right. Let's see. I figured I would draw a dwarf right here. I'm going to give him sort of caveman furry underwear. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Why the fuck does the president need to inspect the fucking bunker? Right? Like, what was he like inspecting the cocktail napkins down there? You know, making sure the bar is stocked. Is that what it is? Right? Get the fuck out of here. He wasn't inspecting shit. He was hiding down there, right? Like a fucking coward. Joke. Absolute fucking ridiculous. You know, when he had nothing to fear. You know, he's protected by, you know, the Secret Service is protecting him. The fucking, you know, there was no way anybody was going to get even close to him, you know. And I don't know. And even if they, you know, even if they did recommend that he do it, there's no shame in doing what they say. You know, there's no shame in just admitting that my security said I should go down there, right? But he can't do it because he's a fucking because he's like got this ego. Hey, I see some guys have joined. Bad 66 Chevelles, what's up? And then Maxwell Vanderberg, Bunker Boy, how's it going? What's up, guys? Thanks for joining. So anyway, so that's why he went and he wanted to do the next day, you know, wanted to have this photo op in front of this church, right? To show how tough he is, that he's going to go out and he's going to face the fucking crowd and, you know, all of this stuff. Except in real life, he didn't actually face anything, you know. They decided that there were too many protesters between them and fucking St. John's, and they were going to clear him out. So apparently Bill Barr is the one that gave the order in order to use tear gas, right? Now, here's the thing, okay? There's a curfew, right? This was half an hour before the curfew. Okay, so what law were these people breaking? You know, you're not supposed to just be like, you're not supposed to be able to go up to, you know, a group of protesters when you're the police and just be like, okay, protest over, leave. No, you're not supposed to do that, all right? You're only supposed to break them up and if it gets violent, right, or dangerous. That's it. And public safety is you know, an issue, right? That's the only time that the police are supposed to be able to clear out a protest, right? You know, we have to move these people because XYZ, they're blocking the road, blah, 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 emergency vehicles can't get through. You know, make up some excuse. You know, whatever, okay? Whatever it is, you know, you're blocking the road, there's a hospital over there, you know, whatever, something like that. We can't get vehicles through in case someone has a heart attack, whatever. You know, these are the excuses that the cops always give when they break up a protest, right? They didn't do any of that. They didn't give any excuses at all. And there's video, I don't actually have it queued up here. You know, the video of this shows it. You know, it shows, like, apparently there was a Australian news crew there who just got caught in the fucking crossfire. Reporters getting hit with rubber bullets and shit like that, right? The video shows, you know, protesters outside of the barricade, not charging the barricade, not rushing it, not doing any shit like that, right? And fucking, you know, suddenly the cops just start fucking pepper spraying everybody. Then they start shooting tear gas, right? Which is supposed to be illegal. It's supposed to be illegal to use tear gas to disperse crowds, you know. And the fact is, we're just seeing it all over the fucking country. So, yeah, do you think anybody's going to get held accountable for that? Probably not. Probably not. No one's ever going to, you know, there will probably be no investigation into why all of these different police departments all around the country had tear gas when they're not supposed to. That's probably not going to ever be mentioned ever again. Let's see, that horn is too small. Let's make this horn all big. There we go. Much better. So we got sort of our dwarf here, you know. We got our elf fighter. We got our dwarf tank, I guess he would be the tank. We got our ogre, or, you know, org or whatever. He could be the fighter. Got kind of our D&D party going here. Looks pretty good, do you think? You know? It's kind of hard to see in this light. Maybe I can kind of increase the... there you go. That looks a little bit better, actually. So, yeah, man. One of the people that was tear gassed in this instance was the actual priest. You know, that basically fucking, you know, services St. John's. So, complete backfire. Like, whatever propaganda, you know, it was that was supposed to make Trump look tough during this, as completely 100% backfired, made him look like a complete fool, laughingstock. That's who our president is right now. Our president is a complete fucking laughingstock. Our country is a laughingstock right now, you know. And you think, you know, while all this shit is happening, right, you know, like this is something that we talked about in the live stream that I did with my friend Raph last night. While all this shit is happening, we're still in the middle of a goddamn pandemic, you know. Seriously, we're still like, you know, there's still, like yesterday, fucking 1,000 people died yesterday of COVID, you know, fucking COVID-19. It's still going. It's not like that shit just stopped all of a sudden. So now think about all these people out here getting shot with tear gas and rubber bullets, getting sprayed with pepper spray, getting the shit beat out of them, right? Because they're protesting police brutality. And so, you know, of course they got to get brutalized by the police, right? Out there fighting for the rights of people in the country. You know, putting themselves at double risk. They're basically putting themselves in risk of dying right now. How many of these people are going to show up, you know, a week from now, sick, not able to get out of their beds, right? How many of these people are going to die now because of COVID-19? Because of these protests, right? I mean, it's just like, man, when it fucking rains, it pours, you know? Unbelievable. You're going to see a mass, and, you know, it's just like they just started opening some places up around the country, you know? They just started here in Los Angeles last week. They started opening up restaurants. So now, for the first time in 3 months, I can go to a restaurant if I want. I'm not going to, right? But, you know, it's nice to know the option is there. You know, in fact, one thing that I really, 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 really want is sushi. Right. Fucking hand hurts. I gotta stretch for a second. I really want some sushi right now. And I don't think it's safe to go get it just yet. So, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look and see, and you know, if the spread goes down and blah blah blah, because that's the thing, it's not going down. And after these fucking protests, it's gonna go way up. It's gonna shoot up again, and now that's just gonna prolong all of this shit. So, and that kind of brings up another thing. You know, where the fuck are all those people that were like so adamant about opening up the country 2 weeks ago? All those fucking assholes with their guns that went to Michigan and, you know, took over the fucking buildings and shit like that. You know, all of those people, they all claim to be protecting the Constitution, and that's why they want to do that. They wanted to open up the country because they thought that these lockdown orders were unconstitutional. That was the official bullshit story, right? You know, and that they had a right to engage in commerce, and because, you know, the fucking, you know, Constitution says that you're supposed to be able to blah, 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 right? That's what all that was about. Where the fuck are these people when the Constitution is being repeatedly violated on a minute-by-minute basis by the police, by the president, right? Where the fuck are they now? How come they're not out there protesting this guy getting killed, right? You know, this extrajudicial murder of an American citizen. You know, where the fuck is the right wing? You know, the right wing, you know, that's the thing you got to remember. It's all bullshit. They don't give a fuck about the Constitution. None of those all those people that were out there in Michigan with their fucking rifles, you know, like they're gonna shoot the fucking virus or something. All of those fucking people, none of them give a fuck about the Constitution at all, right? No, at all. You know, they would be out there with the protesters now if they did. You know, they don't. It's fucking, you know, man. Anyway, you know what? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in so that you can see some detail that I'm working on. Oh, that's as far as it zooms. Well, I guess that's as far as it zooms. So just so you can kind of see what I'm doing, because this is a little bit smaller than what I drew last week. So does that still look okay, everybody? You know, let me know in the chat if this is like blurry or something, or if you can't see it, or if you want me to turn the light up or down or whatnot. Let's turn up the light a little bit, you know. And if you guys have something you want me to talk about, any questions, any comments, feel free to throw them in there, because I'm pretty much done with the shit I was going to talk about, you know, already. That's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think that, like, Jesus Christ, it's just, the country right now is in a seriously bad position right now. You know, we've got like a fucking depression going. We've got, you know, 30, almost 40 million people out of work. That in and of itself, if it was just that, that would be bad. You know, if it was only, you know, the pandemic, right? Or only the fucking depression, that would be bad enough. Shit would be happening. But it's like we have that, and we have, you know, we have a pandemic and a fucking economic depression and civil unrest. It's like they all kind of led, like one led to the other. You know what I mean? And it's just really telling. You know, this is something that I mentioned in my last couple live streams. You know, it's like we wouldn't have these problems, right, if our country were serious about, you know, solutions. If we actually cared about really solving these issues. You know, most of these issues are things that we could solve with very little effort, with very little money. You know, some of the more systemic wealth inequality issues would cost a lot of money. That's true. You know what I mean? You're not going to like suddenly make everybody, you know, give everybody the same equal access to things like healthcare and education overnight. That's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. Looks good. Okay, thanks, Max. Maxwell Vanderberg. Looks good. Thank you. You know, but there are steps you can take. See, that's the thing. It's like it looks daunting, right? And a lot of people, you know, what happens when you're really into politics and you're really into, you know, the news and all of this shit, you can get fatigued by it. You know, they call it, there's a word for it. It's like politics fatigue or something. I can't remember exactly. You know, activist fatigue. Right. You can get tired of it. You know, it could start to kind of gnaw on you and drive you a little crazy. Just hearing all this shit in the news every day and seeing, you know, if all you do is read about, you know, politics and issues and stuff like that and advocacy and blah, 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 blah. If all you do is pay attention to that shit all the time, it can kind of like drive you a little nuts, right? And you really need to take some time to kind of decompress from it, especially if you're like emotionally invested in things like policy outcomes or elections or that kind of thing, you know. For example, there were people that had to go get therapy after Trump was elected, right? That kind of thing, you know, and you get that sort of fatigue, you know, that activism fatigue, where you just sort of like, you know, have to say fuck it. And what ends up happening is that people kind of turn all the way around the other way, and they go, okay, well, shit's not going the way I want. I'm just going to fucking not pay attention to it at all anymore. Fuck it, I don't care. And then they just go off and they become apathetic. Right? And it's like, going all the way the other direction is not really the right way to go about it too. Like, what you need to do is, you know, you have to decompress for a little while. Sometimes you just got to kind of take, you know, I always take a couple of days per week, usually on the weekends. And I don't, I take that time to just do shit that I want to do, I try not to like watch political crap or read stuff about politics or Trump or any of that shit. I take, maybe sometimes it's only one day, sometimes it's like a couple of days, and you gotta like, decompress from this shit, and you gotta do something, get a hobby, do something you love, and here's the thing, right? Because the country will be there when you get back to it, it's not gonna suddenly like what ends up happening is that you get personally invested in the outcomes of these, efforts and news stories and stuff like that. And so, for example, like Bernie Sanders, you get personally invested in Bernie Sanders winning the nomination, and you follow every news story and all this other shit. And then he doesn't win it, and then you get all fucking depressed, You get depressed, and you're like, fuck it, this sucks, this is bullshit, it's all rigged, it's all fucking, fake and whatever, and why am I even, fuck this, I can't take it anymore. And then you just, and people get depressed over that. And then they'll like, either go crazy or else they'll just completely ignore politics at all, and they'll just become apathetic. And it's like, nah, man, you can't get personally invested in any particular issue or politician, right? Or election. That's another one. I learned that lesson. I'm never going to be personally invested in an election ever again, to the point where I'm depressed if my guy doesn't win. I'm through with that shit. It's like, this time, if Trump wins again, fuck it, it'll suck, but I'm not gonna fucking like lose my mind over it, and you shouldn't lose your, you gotta like take that kind of thing easy. You gotta like remember, it's like, okay, tomorrow the sun's gonna rise, it's not over, right? And after all of this stuff, all of this civil unrest and the fact that all of these cops out there are just going to get away with it and blah, 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 blah. It's like, it's no reason to like, go crazy. It's like, you got to fucking take this shit easy and, be grateful for what you got. And, remember that, it's going to be okay, I guess, is the, way to put it. Everything's going to be okay. Don't panic. Don't panic, and the best thing that you can do is to remain active, right? Donate your time and your money, remain active, keep yourself informed, and vote. And that's the best thing that you can do. Be politically active in the things that you want to be active for. Support candidates that you want to support. Help the people that you think need help. Stuff like that. And because here's the thing about it, right? These are problems that no one individual can fix, right? You can't fix these problems. I can't fix these problems. Nobody out there, the president, can't fix these problems, okay? Jesus Christ could be the president. He wouldn't be able to fix these problems. These are systemic, fucking problems that we have in our society, right? That are going to take a lot of time and money, and is going, it requires our culture to evolve in order to fix, things like racism. You can't just pass a law and then suddenly there's no more racism. You can pass a law that says, okay, you get punished for XYZ expressions of racism, right? But you can't just be like, okay, new law, racism is against the law, the end, and then lo and behold, no more racism. That's not how it works, right? What stuff like that does is, you need to advance society. The culture has to evolve, right? And you can kind of see it happening sometimes. Look at popular culture from today versus 20 years ago. It's a lot more inclusive. This is our society evolving, right? And you notice all the pushback against the inclusiveness of popular culture, right? All the Gamergate people and the Comicsgate people and all the people getting mad at things like Steven Universe and She-Ra and whatever, and Captain Marvel and blah, 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 blah. And Star Trek has a black woman with a boy's name in it, and that kind of thing. You know, you see people getting mad at shit like that, and, you know, whatever. This is our culture evolving, and people pushing back against the culture evolving, right? And, you know, that's just one example of, you know, what I'm talking about, right? Hang on, let me just do this, because last time I drew the sword, I screwed it up, so I want to make sure that I can do this nice even line. There we go. Still a little screwy. I was never really good at this. I usually go in afterwards and straighten all of this stuff in Photoshop if I decide to take it further. Anyway, kind of forgot where I was going with this, but you get the idea. Okay, you guys put some comments. What are you guys talking about? Let's see. It's kind of weird when Maxwell Vandenberg. It's kind of weird when people complain about the media because there are multiple media and they choose which ones they consume. Yes, this is true. And here's the thing about it: when people complain about the media, right? Usually, like say for example, if you're on the right, you complain that the media is left wing. And if you're on the left, you complain that the media is right wing. And in real life, it's a lot more complicated than that. You know, the mainstream media, when it comes to the news, like first off, it's like what media you're talking about. Usually when they say media, they mean news media, right? They're not talking about movies or records or, you know, music or college radio, shit like that. They're talking about the mainstream news, right? Mainstream news is dominated by Fox News, right? Fox News is, you know, basically Fox News is the size of MSNBC and CNN combined as far as viewership goes, right? So it's kind of hard to say that the mainstream media is liberal when the largest company with the most viewership is right wing. Okay, that's bullshit in that regard. So then when you say the leftist people will say, well, the media has a conservative bias because of they're owned by multinational corporations. That's true, but there actually is, you know, a little bit of bias when it comes to certain companies. You know, for example, the Democratic debates were held by what was it, MSNBC. They were basically giving the questions to the Clintons, you know, to Hillary, right? She was getting advance copies of the questions and shit like that so that she'd have a leg up in the debates. You know, kind of hard to say. Now, some people on the left would say, well, that's, you know, Hillary Clinton is conservative, and that's an example of corporatism at work, and blah, 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 right? Yeah, you know, maybe, but, you know, that's also an example of how it is biased towards, you know, the Democratic establishment. And that's where I would say where the media is biased towards. It's biased towards the establishment, right? Not necessarily a Republican or a Democrat. So first off, I'm not talking about Fox, because Fox is 100% the media arm of, you know, the GOP. So you could just toss them right out. Same thing with Clear Channel and One American Network and all of these religious stations, blah, 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 blah. They basically run all of the, you know, all of the frickin' radio stations out there with, you know, one fucking Rush Limbaugh imitator after another. They're all conservative. So not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the other, the rest of the media, you know, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, blah, 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 blah. The ones that all the conservatives say are, you know, left-leaning. They're really kind of not left-leaning. You know, they are biased in favor of the establishment, right? And something that, you know, what we all don't really get in this conversation is that the left is not the same thing as the Democrats. Okay, those things are not the same thing. Okay, Democratic Party is central right. Okay, the GOP Republican Party is far right. That's basically how the politics in the United States breaks down, right? That's why we don't see shit like, that's why they ridicule things like, say, universal health care. Stuff that every other country on earth has. That's why we can't get even the politicians in our country who are supposed to be left-leaning don't support that shit. You only get people like, Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and stuff like that. Those are the real left-wingers. Those are the actual democratic socialists in a country. Everywhere else in the world, those people would be considered center-left, because they still support things like capitalism and shit like that, right? So yeah, that's really what it is. It's more biased towards the establishment Democrats, right, rather than the left wing. But to people on the right wing, the Fox News viewers and stuff like that, that is the right wing. That is the left wing. They can't tell the difference between, they think that everything that's like left of them is like one step above fucking communism. So yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, if you really want to see the real liberal media, the actual real liberal media, you should watch things like Democracy Now! On Pacifica Radio. That's a really good, that's something with Amy Goodman. There's another show called Uprising with also on Pacifica Radio. They're really good. It's like that. Those are the shows that you're gonna see them talking to fucking communists, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And Marxists and that kind of thing. So if you want to see like the actual real liberal media, the left wing media, that's where you got to go. Even the guys like on YouTube, things like David Pakman, those guys aren't really, radical left. They're more like, they're left wing for sure, but they still support things like capitalism and shit like that, and that's actually kind of where I fall myself personally. I'm not a communist myself, right? I'm not even a socialist really. I mean, I am more of a pragmatist. I believe in policies that, help people and the actual real effects in people's lives of what policies would be. And it just so happens that it looks like a lot of the policies on the far left, things like, universal health care, stuff like that, in my opinion, would help people, and it's stuff that we really need. Things like universal health care and government paid for college, or subsidized college, I guess. They don't even have to pay for all of it. They just subsidize it, whatever. Things like that, things like UBI, right? Seems to me like those would actually be practical solutions to a lot of the problems that we're having right now, and a lot of the problems we're going to face in the future very, very soon. And that's why I support them. And, here's the thing. If people on the right wing could come up with a solution that's better, let's hear it. I'm all for it. Give me your solution on what we're going to do, for example, to get everybody in the country healthcare. Right. And what's your solution? It's got to include everybody, because my solution, right, for example, Medicare for all, that's something that I support, right? That would basically mean, we expand Medicare, it comes out of your taxes, and includes every single person in the country, regardless of your age or your occupation, or if you're employed or if you're not employed, whatever. Everybody gets coverage, right? So if you're a right-wing person and you got a better solution that gives me the exact same effect, and you can do it without, doing a Medicare for all thing, then let's hear it. Lay it on me. Convince me. I'm all ears. I will. And if I think it's a good solution, I'll support it. Okay. And it just so happens it's like I haven't heard any good solutions at all coming from the right wing. That's my thing. So let's see. Let's make this a really gross, dirty, hairy-ass dwarf. We'll just put some hair on his shoulders here. There we go. He's just like smelly, like disgusting-ass dwarf with flies around his head. Some flies on him. This dwarf guy has not bathed in like 2 weeks. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I've been drawing. You guys have been commenting. What else we got? Maxwell Vandenberg. Although I agree there is media that spreads misinformation, yeah, but it's largely because there are stronger incentives for media to be entertaining and timely than to be accurate. There's some purposefully misleading stuff too, but that would be less of an issue if education system was better at helping people learn how to question stuff. There's like social pressure not to question stuff in some context too. You are 100% right. I couldn't agree more. You know, the media is a money-making venture in the United States, and you know, I kind of like it that way, to be honest, because I don't trust countries with state-run media. I don't trust state-run media. Sorry, that's just there's too much potential for abuse there. In a new, you know, for example, you have like Russian state-run media or that kind of thing. When the government's paying for it, then they end up getting editorial powers, and you can't trust them. So, you know, and but there is certainly something to be said about the fact that news has to be profitable, right? That was actually something, it didn't used to be like that. Like back in the day, in fact, this is something Jello Biafra talks about in some of his spoken word albums, right? Back in the 60s and 70s or whatever, the news departments of, you know, whatever station, you know, before you had things like CNN, right? Most of everybody got their news from the local, you know, the local networks, right? And maybe there would be something like Ted Koppel who would like have his show broadcast, you know, across the country or some shit like that. You know, 60 Minutes or whatever, right? Or the nightly news or that kind of thing. Or, you know, you had the NBC network and that kind of thing, right? But most of the people still got their news from their local station, right? And before, back in the day, most of the news was not run for profit. It was pretty much like subsidized by the rest of the television station, you know. And the reason being is because news was seen as you know, a public good, basically, right? So it used to be back in the day that your television station had to have a certain amount of hours of programming in the public's interest, right? In order to actually get, you know, to get a charter or a license from the FCC in order to broadcast. That was one of the stipulations back in the day, right? In order to have your FCC license, is that certain amount of your broadcasting had to be in the public interest, right? Most of the news stations handled this by having educational shows for children, right? Back in the 60s and 70s, right? So that's why you saw things like Sesame Street, you know, The Electric Company was another one, right? Which if you've never seen The Electric Company, it's awesome. You know, it's got like Spidey super stories and like fucking, what's his name? You know, God, what the fuck is the guy's name from The Voice of God? You know what I'm talking about? The guy from the Shawshank Redemption, the black guy. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was like on that back in the 70s when he's all young and everything. Yeah, and then the news was also included as part of that public, you know, public interest programming, basically, right? And that was also a thing back in the day, is that you had the fairness doctrine as well. So any opinion show, for example, that you had on your news, it had to show both sides of the story. So you had shows that were done in that kind of format. You know, one that used to be on CNN was called Crossfire, right? On CNN. That's where Tucker Carlson started, right? You know, so that was like, yeah, that's kind of how it was for years and years and years. That got changed in the 1980s, with Ronald Reagan deregulated all of that stuff, got rid of these requirements, right? So that's when, you know, you started seeing things like children's programming where the TV, you know, there was like no educational aspect to it, and like the show was just basically a half-hour long commercial, which, you know, I'm not complaining about because this is when I grew up, and that's how we got things like He-Man and Transformers and stuff, which let's face it, the cartoons weren't very good. I mean, the toys were awesome shit. I don't know if you guys know, I have like a toy channel called UCD Videos. It's like where I review toys and I do unboxings and that kind of thing. But anyway, you know, but this is all shit that changed in the 80s, right? And part of that was that, you know, the news suddenly didn't have this sort of aspect to it anymore. It's not being done in the public good anymore. You know, the news had to profit, right? And because they removed the fairness doctrine, that opened the door for things like Fox News and Rush Limbaugh. You know, there was a time. It's kind of hard to imagine, especially if you've, you know, only been alive since, you know, after this happened. It's hard to imagine a time when the news wasn't biased, or rather when the news would pride itself on being as objective as possible, right? Because they don't even try anymore. That's the thing. Things like Fox and even, you know, CNN or whatever, although I think they do a much better job than Fox. But, you know, especially when it comes to radio, you know, like right-wing radio, you know, radio talk shows are basically just dominated by the right wing in this country. There is no sense of fairness anymore, of objectivity. They don't even attempt to be objective anymore, you know. And it just seems like the more right-wing the station is, the less objective they are. Right? That's just fucking how I see it. Morgan Freeman, that was his name. Thank you, Maxwell Vandenberg. Thank you so much. And that's kind of like really a lot of these problems that we've had with, like, you know, ridiculous right-wing conspiracy theories and you know, shit like that. You know, a lot of that kind of developed after this change happened. Because think about it, now you have, you know, this giant media conglomerate, you know, Fox News, right? Along with things like Clear Channel that basically runs all of the radio stations in the country, right? You know, pushing this same kind of narrative, you know, this sort of right-wing kind of, you know, we're the real Americans, they're going to take your guns, Democrats are evil, right? Environmentalism is evil, right? Gay people want to fucking rape your children, shit like that, you know. And now imagine that you're just some guy, you know, right? Most people in this country don't go to college. I think it's like a slight majority of people in the United States don't go to college. You know, they get jobs right out of high school, right? Most people in the country don't really move more than 20 miles away from where they were born, you know, like, ever, really. I mean, they might go take trips, shit like that, but most of them end up, you know, living in the same town that they've always lived in and that their parents lived in, right? So that's why you have, like, this huge belt across the South and Midwest where it's, like, extremely rabidly conservative. You know what I mean? And if you look, it's like the more religious somebody is, the more likely they are to be conservative. And the more likely they are to be conservative, the more likely they are to not have gone to college, right? And also the more likely they are to not believe in things like, you know, recycling or global warming, or that, you know, environmentalism is a problem that we have to pay attention to, or that the police treat black people unfairly, right? Or, you know, seriously, it's like all of this shit tracks with each other, you know, and they're more likely to believe in ridiculous conspiracy theories, things like, you know, for example, the Democrats are going to take away your guns, you know, they're going to use federal troops to, go around and forcibly take away everybody's guns, right? Which is funny, because that was actually something that Donald Trump just tweeted about not that long ago. You know, I don't know if you guys remember that. A couple of days ago, he basically tweeted and said that he was going to send the armed forces to take control of the states, you know, if the governors don't get it under control. In fact, I actually have a screenshot of that. Let me pull that up, because this shit is crazy. We should really all read this. Let me see. Where did I put my screenshots here? It's under 6.4, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Here we go. This is Donald Trump's ridiculous tweet here. Let me turn on my thing here. And let me go down, hit OK, turn on my left monitor. Tweet by Donald Trump. I can't stand back. Let me make this bigger. There we go. That's too big. Okay. I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis. A total lack of leadership. Either the very weak radical left mayor Jacob Frey get his act together and bring the city under control, or I will send in the National Guard and get the job done right. ... These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty, and we will assume control, but when the shooting starts, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Yeah, so this has been all over the news now. Thought we would mention that because what Donald Trump is saying there is illegal. That right there, illegal. The government is not allowed to use the police or the military to police civilians in the country. It's called the specific law that prevents that is called the Posse Comitatus Act, right? And this is something that goes all the way back to the American Revolution, because that's exactly what the British used to do to the colonists. They would send in redcoats, you know, and that's why it's in the Constitution that, you know, a civilian will not have to put up a soldier in their house, right? That's specifically written into the Constitution, because that was shit that would happen all the time. You know, they would basically send in the fucking redcoats, and then they would just take over people's houses and kick them out. Be like, okay, we're using this house here, now get out of here. And you would get kicked out of your own fucking house by the government, right? That's why that shit is specifically in the fucking Constitution. So yeah, Posse Comitatus, right? And here's the thing, that was one of the things that was like one of the motivating factors behind the militia movement in the 1980s and 90s. You know, these militia assholes who like pretend that they're like fucking, you know, the American revolutionaries and shit, and go off and they buy you know, AR-15s and AK-47s and shit and train in the fucking wilderness like it's Red Dawn, and they're like, you know, fighting against the corrupt government and stuff, right? That's part of the reason, this conspiracy theory, right, that the government was going to take away your guns and they were going to use federal troops to do it. Something that's been going on for years and years in one form or another. There's all kinds of different forms of this conspiracy theory. You know, some people think it's going to be, you know, the Jewish overlords are going to use gangs. You know, things like the Crips and the Bloods. They're going to recruit them and turn them into an army, and they're going to go and they're going to take away all your guns and blah, 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 blah. And some other people think it's going to be like, we're going to be invaded by fucking Russians or whatever, you know, or whatever. And the latest permutation of this, yes, this is a nipple ring. I'm putting a nipple ring on him. The latest permutation of this conspiracy theory is that they're going to use Antifa as a fucking army, you know, and there's going to be jackbooted thugs are going to come, break into your house, and they're going to steal your weapons, you know, and this is why you got to be ready. And it's funny because when, you know, a Republican president starts fucking doing it, threatening to actually fucking do it, send in the army, to police shit, you know, where the fuck are these people? How come they're not standing up? How come all of those assholes who are at, you know, the federal building, right, in Michigan with their submachine guns acting like they're going to shoot the fucking virus, how come those assholes aren't out there getting mad at this tweet? It's hypocrite. So you got to remember, okay, you know, especially when it comes to the far weird-ass radical right-wingers, it's all bullshit. They don't actually care about any of this shit that they're talking about. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't give a fuck about your rights at all, right? They care about themselves. They care about their guns. They care about their little baby fetuses and their religion. And they care about, you know, making you do what they say. That's really what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? They're hypocrites. That's basically what it is. It's all hypocritical bullshit. So, you know, if you have a friend that you see going down that road, you know, posting frog memes and shit like that, you know, joining the fucking Proud Boys or whatever, or posting shit online or, you know, whatnot, getting into this stuff, you know, this is the kind of thing that you got to talk to them about, right? Try talking to them, treat them like a human being, and, you know, don't immediately just like, you know, cut ties with the guy. Because you got to remember, it's like this kind of thing, it's like a religion almost, you know what I mean? And you have to deprogram somebody from extreme political views, the same way that you have to deprogram like a Scientologist or something like that. Anyway, don't even try not to use loaded. Am I using loaded language? I don't know. No standing army. Well, sorry, Max. What do you mean? Don't try to use loaded language. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I'm sorry. But I don't know. Maybe I was using loaded language. If I was, I'm not aware of it. Sorry. Anyway, guys, I think, yeah, we've been streaming for about 2 hours. I think we got to call it quits here. My hand is starting to hurt. But I think, you know, I think this is a good stream. I think this one was successful. Let me just kind of open some things up here. I got to do my closing spiel. But here, first off, let me just kind of, let me get a couple of things ready before I show it to you all. Let's see. Open that. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Just oh wow, I like how when I search for, anyway, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. So yeah, here we go. Got that. One more thing. I'm just getting some stuff ready. Okay. So yeah, here's what we got so far. I think I might continue this next time. I like how this is turning out. You know, we got sort of our kind of fighter, you know, World of Warcraft kind of Dungeons and Dragons party going. Maybe I should give the dwarf, you know, a weapon or something. Maybe I could put like a Warhammer back here or something. But yeah, I think this turned out a lot better than the thing we drew last week. But yeah, it looks pretty good, you know. I don't know, maybe I'll put like a paladin over here or something. I'm actually rolling a paladin right now in WoW. Classic, you know, I'm tanking. Anyway, guys, I think we should probably go ahead and end this. Thank you all for coming, and before we close it, I'm going to show you some stuff. I gotta do my promotions. So this here is, let me see, let me just turn off my